Hello, everyone. It's Thinking Time, a platform for those who think and want to think. Today, I'm here with another episode of Thinking Time, and this episode belongs to a very important and critical social issue. As we know, as we discuss a lot of political and economic issues, but this time we have discussed a social issue, a important very important and very significant issue, which creates a lot of anxiousness, worrisome in the parents, especially. Issue that is very uh, close to the current dynamics of the society, and every parent or parents want to address this issue, issue of parenting in today's social or modern world. So, what are the challenges that is now coming in towards in front of parenting challenges to our modern society? And in this modern world, what are the main challenges towards parenting? Because the way society is building itself up, and this new age of modernization and communication create a lot of innovations in the field of education and other stuff like indoctrination and orientation. So there's a huge gap between the parenting generation and the child generation. So this gap a lot of times create hindrance towards parenting. Today, parents are in the very, you can say, in the situation of lull or in the situation of limbo, that how can we deal with our children, especially in today's modern challenges and today's modern problems. So this is the issue that we need to address and we need to communicate and we need to highlight in this through this platform. So the first thing that parents need to learn, that the important thing to address any issue is to have a conversation. In modern times, I a lot of time experience that parents do not have good communication relationship with their children. So resultantly, because of this communication gap, we see that there's a lot of difference. There are a lot of gap of relationship between parents and child or a child. So this gap creates a lot of problem for when it comes to parenting, because they don't have those such type of bond, they don't have such type of relationship, they don't have such type of relation where they can in a better position to parent to put parenting on themselves or to educate their children for their you can say future. So the important thing is to have a good conversation. Parents must take interest in the children's behavior, in the children's activities, and the children's inclination towards society. So this is very much important, that if you when you address the communication gap between the child and the parent and his or her parent, basically you create a bond or a cordial relationship that will ultimately help yourself or help the parents to have a good parenting. Another important aspect of this communication gap, which can amount to another problem, that is a speech delayed in a child. We see a lot of things. I mean, for me, it's a new phenomenon in this generation where we have seen a lot of children suffering from autism or speech delayed. When we reach to the basics of this issue, or the bottom of the bottom of this root cause of the issue, we come to know because child is less frequent in speaking. They don't have the opportunity to speak. Reason being because they don't have a good conversation with the parents. They don't have the opportunity to speak. A lot of times we see that because child nowadays are busy in gadgets, busy in other electronics, so it's a one-way communication. For example, if a child is watching a cartoon, he or she is simply listening or watching, not speaking. So when the speaking activity is compromised, so it can harm in the shape of a delayed speaking. So this communication gap needs to be addressed. It has to be it has to become into such a way where it helps the child to cope up with that speech delay at one side, and the other side, it helps the parent to deal with the parenting. So a good communication relationship, good communications, interaction with the child and the parent help both for to have a good parenting. The second important thing when it comes to parenting, two issues of a clash between parents and children when they grow up. It is now become an order of a day for us that parents always have confrontation on two issues with a child. One, the selection of a spouse. The second is the selection of a career. We in our generation, when we are growing up, we see that it's the decision taken by the parents. This whole decision is always taken by the parents to which career the child adopt to and where he or she has to be married. So when these two basics issues were taken up by the parents without taking the child under consideration, without taking advice from, without taking discussing child his or her priorities, it always generates clash. And these two issues always become a cause of a confrontation. So parenting does not mean that you spoon feed all the thing all the time to your child. It's not the parent's decision to select a career for a child. It's not a parent's right to select a spouse for a child. It's his or her right, both on occasions, whether it's a spouse or a career, it's a choice of a child. So whether if we look at the Western civilization or we look at the Islamic civilization or Islamic teachings, we come to know these two priorities areas were are given to the are given free hand the child to select their spouse to select their career. So this is nothing to do with the parents' advice or parents' decision. Yes, in this scenario, in both scenarios, parent because being a parent, being elder, being experience the world better than the child, they can guide them in two scenarios. They can educate them. They can envisage and put the child in an envisage the pros and cons of the situation. That if you select this type of a career, this is the pros, this is the con. If you select this lady or a man for a marriage, this is the pros, this is the cons. So the better thing is to guide them instead of taking all that decision, and especially these two basic decisions, always create rift and confrontation. Third important thing, which is very missing in our society, because we see that when someone takes the place of a parent, when he or she becomes mother or a father, he becomes totally indifferent to the interests which is taken by his or her child. The duty of a parent to discover which type of interest their child wants to. So if they take the interest in part, it must be very helpful for them. For example, I'll give you a scenario. If a parent helps a child to discover the inner talent. Look, when a child is growing up, he or she is passing through many exposures, whether in the shape of sports, whether in the shape of hobbies, whether in the shape of writing, whether in the shape of reading. He or she must go through many exposures. If the parents is well educated enough and well written enough that they are in the position to help him or herself to find his inner talent or her talent, then it will be a great help to a child. So the real test for a parents to help him or her to find his inner interest or her interest. When you find him inner talent or interest, you will basically connect him with the world. You will connect him with the find a career path for him. So this will help him or her to choose his ambition or her ambition, career, his or her career, ambition. So this is very much important that discovering the inner talent of a children is the foremost responsibility of a parents for a good parenting. This is not only the responsibility of a teacher. This is not only the responsibility of society or a child himself or herself, but it's a responsibility of a parent. Another very much in today's era, we see that this sort of Gen Z generation, where we experience a lot of times now, because now they are growing up, now they are in the job market, now they are about to complete their education, and now they are taking place themselves being the fundamental pillar of the society, they are very much in machine mindset. They they believe in economic aspect of the life. They believe in the very calculative type of matters of the life. They look life like a machine. They look like a very calculative type of uh, you can say society in the way they're living. So one must learn how to cope up with them, how to deal with them. Today, there are times where the man becomes, when the child becomes a machine. So one has to be very careful when dealing with the child. Human being consists of two things. One is how to deal with the worldly affairs and how, which is we can the self of a man, and the other thing is spiritual intact. The spiritual innate of a man is basically helps him to find the emotional quantum, which ultimately helps him to find the big picture in the life, a larger picture. This the emotion of empathy, the emotion of sympathy, the emotion of general good, doing good for a society is the basically the footprints or the takeaways of the spiritual innate of a man. So in this machine working in this machine's world of life, parents are solely responsible. It's a very important duty of parents to educate them spiritually to their children, to create emotions of sympathy and empathy for others, to help themselves how to have a good human being with others, how to be a good teamwork, how to have a good team member if they work in a group, if they are in a school, how to have a good relationship with their fellows, how to have a good relationship with their classmates. So these are the ingredients, these are the traits. This must be inculcated by the parents to their child. So once they get through this, they will be a good. They're not only a good human being, career-oriented human being, but they are also be a good human, because life is composed of two things: how you build yourself in a good character and how you build yourself in a good profession. If you are good in character, you must get a good profession. But if you are not in a good character, it must be a very difficult for you to get a good profession or to be a good fellow for the society. So in time where we in these hectic times where everything is calculated and machinery in nature, where so a lot of things are dependent on our spiritual, economic priorities, there must be a spiritual innate for the child, and this is the responsibility of a parent to educate them on this thing. The important and very, you can say, a problematic and derogatory thing that parent doing a lot of things in today's world when it comes to parenting. That's the evil of a taunting comparisons. Look, we have been when we are growing up, we have been experiencing this. Our next generation is experiencing this. That parents are very accustomed to have a very all the time, all the work, all the time, all the work they have for the taunting comparisons. They compare one child with other. They compare cousins with child's cousins, child's classmates. The comparisons are the best free time activity for the parents. Basically, these comparisons not only on the basics of a logic or a natural phenomena, it's simply to compare oranges with mangoes or apples with oranges. These are type of stuff we are experiencing a lot of time from our parents. These comparisons not only harmful for the person for the child personality, but also kill him intellectually or her intellectually. Especially these wrong comparisons, especially for example, if a student is good in scoring good marks in exams, and the other students scored average or good, not at the excellent marks that this other companion take it, it doesn't mean that he will be not good in future. He will not be a career oriented. He will not be focusing on studies. The important thing is you have to encourage the child towards doing hard work, towards focusing on a life, towards build his or her interest, towards build his or career ambitions. It's not important how much he scores or she scores in the exam. It's not about how much good he is in or she is in memorizing the uh, textbook. So these comparisons, whenever they do now, and even this is very much apt in our society, and it has become now a trend that we choose some subjects for our child. If we think that he or she is good in it, it means is a good student. For example, if someone is good in mathematics, he's a very good student. If someone is good in physics, chemistry, science, even English, then he's a very good student. But if someone is good in poetry, someone is good in writing, someone is good in sports, we see that no, he's very much, and we always believe that he's not that much up to the mark. And we always marginalize it, that child towards the those children who are good in these all these subjects which I mentioned earlier. So marginalizing child on the basis of this does not serve the purpose. So these daunting comparisons and always put them under pressure and always put them in the, you can say, a test and examination or in such type of depression. For me, it's simply a worse than a child labor. What is child labor? You put all the time child in the laborious work. When you draw such type of comparisons, which does not go with the logic, which does not go with the nature's inbuilt, you basically put the child in that rat race which has no ending. First, you go to school, then you score high, then you go to college, then you score high, then you go to university, you score high, then you take up to the career and live up to the expectations which we have with you. Otherwise, we will treat you as a failure. So, this is not a good option for me. I think this is not a good way of parenting. One has to be, yes, for some time if comparisons are good, but they must be in a good form. For example, if you how the comparisons can be. Comparisons can be good if a child want to become a writer, okay, or want to be a sportsman. Then you have to draw a comparison with, and look, you choose your profession as a sportsman, but you do not prepare yourself as the other sportsman. So now you compare themselves, the child, for his betterment, for her betterment. And not only you give comparisons, but also give the plan of action to that. That look, if you become a sports person or you become a teacher or you become a banker, then this must be your plan of action. The successful sports person, sport bankers take in their life. So these are the good comparisons. But if you compare at that time, because you scored, you do not have a good run, you do not score good rates, good ranks in the school, so you can't be successful in life. You always treat child always be treated as a failure. So these are the very daunting and very pathetic type of comparisons. Another very important thing, and I think that's the whole society needs to learn that, not only as a parents, but only as a human being. That, and I always, I look up and experience many people in my life, I think that they do not know this art. This is very much important art, especially in Pakistan, the art of criticizing. We have a very good habit. We have a very fun activity in it, and we are very good at it. Criticize everyone all the time. But we do not know, being our favorite hobby to criticize others, how to criticize, the art of criticizing. Look, the good criticism must be three to four prongs. First, it must be helping for others. Second, it must be a learning curve for others. Third, it must be constructive in nature. And fourth, it must be polite in nature. If I think something, I've committed something wrong and someone is criticizing me, then one must criticize me in an aspect that helps me to correct my wrong, to guide me, to put me in a direction where I have a course correction. Otherwise, this criticism is fatal in nature. It not only damages the child psychologically, but it always creates a hatred for a parent. When this is the important thing, I think the most damaging thing in parenting when you criticize harmful to a child. The frequency, the velocity of a criticism and the way of criticism. These are, I think, two very important critical factors that damage our parent. It makes the child stubborn. It makes the child, you can say, evasive some of the time. He or she does not pay heed what you are saying. So, and sometimes it's make them adamant. So when you do not know the art of criticizing, you do not know how to help in the shape of criticism, or you do not know how to help them in criticizing by educating him or herself, you make them adamant and stubborn. And I always quote that our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has this habit to never criticize someone's directly. He always, when someone is doing something wrong, he always say in a generic term without wanting his or her name, without pointing directly to him or her that you are doing something. He always saying generic that people say on people commit today's wrong in nowadays in this way. So this is very much important. We must learn from the life of our Prophet, peace be upon him, to how to criticize, how to educate others by criticizing them, by helping them to have their course correction. So this is much important nowadays to how this is very much important to understand. A successful parents must have as those who have friendship with the child. Friendship now not such term that you become completely the friends of a child and ignoring everything which he or she is doing just to cozy up with him or just to have a bond with him that look, I am your friend, you have availability. No. Friendship with me, it means that you have to reach to the level of his intellect or her intellect to understand him or herself, sharing the experience so that you will always be in position to sharing your experience with him or her. When you're sharing his experience with him or her and guide him, it will help him to become a good person or a good woman. I think in today's world, the best thing our elders can give us to us is their experience. Our generation is innovative in nature. Our coming generation, the Gen Z generation, are innovative in nature, but they lack experience. So the experience always comes from the more experienced generation, that is our parents, our elders. So if this mix and match appear on the scene, innovation with experience, it's a very good mixture. So parents must know that in today's world, when they go for a parenting, they do not all the time scold the child, do not always all the time have strictness on the child, but they must know that when the child is entering in the certain age where he get into a consciousness, then it's time to experience, it's time to share the experience. Just to share the experience, put him in the picture where he can analyze the pros and the cons and situation and put him free or her free. So it would be a very beneficial for him when you share your experiences and allow him or her to choice free what he want to do in the life. So this is another aspect where you can be a good parent if you follow these type of rules. Another aspect is sports therapy. You can involve with the parent child in sports, which has become very much minimized in today's society. The evolution where child nowadays are uh, mostly busy in gadgets and technology, laptops and mobiles, and where they love to sit and just doing their work. There's a very deficiency in physical activities. Sports have become non-existent, and we not do not see often people playing cricket in streets, people playing football in parks, and other type of physical sports. So sports therapy is very important. Why we use the word therapy? Because it gives you a psychological impact on your life. What that is psychological? Sports is not about a physical exercise. It's all about to accept the defeat. Whenever you play, whenever you go for a match, either you win or you lose. So accept that the day you win, do not celebrate it as you achieve everything and prepare yourself for the next challenge. And once you get defeated in the next match, Don't be demoralized. Face the face that if you take it at chin and prepare yourself for getting more beneficial results. Then sports is the only activity that helps you how to deal with the failures and success. And life is all about dealing with failures and success. Important thing is to deal with the failures because man become desperate, man pessimist when he or she faces back to back failures in life and become demoralized and become cynical on him whether he's a achiever or not. So it's sports that tell you that it's not about only winning, it's all about losing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So this is important factor to learn that with the sports therapy always be very important. And it's parents that inculcate in them sports therapy so that they become a good fellow and chin up themselves for a better challenge, for a bigger boss. The most important, and I believe in the I am now in the concluding lines of my program, is to educate children on a sex education. Look, as we are growing up, and now and the next generation is growing up, and before that, our also parents when they are in their 20s or 30s, they also can experience, but nowadays it's quite frequent. Sex education in today's world is very important because the exploring trends, the way things are unfolding themselves, the way society is exploring itself, the sex phenomena has reached the level where it is affecting everyone. And especially which I envisaged when I was in university and after that and now in schools and other stuff, the sex has become a very glorified concept. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone is the you can say uh, I have experience about it, glorifying it as the very important phenomenon. And especially when the way communication, the way information is traveling, now the child have every access to these type of contents which is harmful for his life and for his intellect. That's pornography, that's sexual content become very common. So it's very important for our parents and a teacher, especially for our parents, because it's mostly dependent on the parenting to have a good conversation on this issue. They must educate themselves first, and then to their child about the sex education. What is the sex education? Is to educate a child about look, sex is a phenomenon. Everyone must go through it. Everyone is passing through it. Your body psychologically and physically is evolving in such type Allah Almighty that this sexual emotion is very much in you. So you experience as all others experience in life. So it's important to create a balance in it. It's important to how you vent this emotion or how to control it. Don't be desperate, don't be panicked in these type of emotions and go through it. And don't go through it at that. The sexual emotions are very common. Everyone is experiencing. The best ways to cope up with is to have a good research on it, have a knowledge of it, that how to control it, how to cope up with it, how to achieve the sex discipline. The best way, that's why Allah Almighty gives you a choice of a marrying, because Allah knows that the sexual instinct in human body is very much important. If it doesn't uh, have a platform to vent it out, then it can create a lot of trouble for mankind. So the marriage institution has the very purpose to satisfy your sexual need. The only way to satisfy your sexual need is to get married yourself. No other way. Not through adultery, not through these affairs, not through other things. This is the basic purpose of education. That it doesn't mean you are suffering from a sexual emotions and it's quite natural. So don't be embarrassed if you are feeling such type of emotions. The best way is to cope with it, to make yourself sexually disciplined and to believe in the marriage institution and go for a marriage. And then be loyal to your woman. Your all the sexual relationship must be confined with your wife. You don't get them free or make them as such as free that you just have that relationship with any other everyone. It's not illegal in Islam. So the sex education, because this is not a topic we much would discuss a lot about it, that's why it creates a lot of problem for our child does not psychologically cope up with. That's why it ended up in very vulnerable situation when it comes to sexual education. So it's very much important to understand to build your child on the basis of intellect, personality, liberty, and evolution. So the best parenting is to educate him or her morally, intellectually, and professionally. So this is I have in this thinking time. Hope you like it.